Welcome to part 4 on how to EQ like a pro. In this episode, we're going to discuss using MidSide EQ while mastering. If you're curious to learn more, stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to Distinct Mastering. My name is Freddie. I'm a mastering engineer, producer, DJ, and president of Sleeping Giant Music. For over 2 decades, I've helped artists grow their careers, and now I'm here to help you with your music productions. If you like my content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Now let's chat about using MidSide EQ while mastering. Okay everyone, today we're going to talk about mastering with MidSide EQ. If you missed my video from last week, I'll leave you a link up above. I discuss MidSide EQ while mixing. Now I do want to note that you need to be extremely careful when using MidSide EQ. If you're a beginner, I do advise against it, especially while you're at your mastering stage. MidSide EQ can really damage your mix if you don't know what you're doing. So before we begin, let's discuss what MidSide EQ actually is. MidSide EQ is an equalizer process that splits a stereo signal into separate mono and stereo channels. The mid mono channel contains information identical in both the left and the right channels. The sum of the left and the right channels create a mono signal. L plus R equals mid. Conversely, the side stereo channel contains information that differs between the left and the right channels. The difference between the left and the right channels creates a stereo signal, L minus R equals side. When combined, the mid and the side channels produce a full stereo image. Once encoded into MS, you can process the mid information independently from the side information. Both channels are then decoded or converted back into conventional left and right stereo channels. This technique allows you to EQ your mix with greater flexibility and precision. Alright, so based on what MidSide EQ actually is, you can only imagine that if you're trying to use MidSide EQ while mastering, you can really damage your master or the final mix. Let's discuss 5 tips that you can use MidSide EQ while mastering. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play you an example of the track that I picked to show you for the demonstration purposes. All of these Pro Q3s are bypassed. I have 5 different Pro Q3s to show you 5 different tricks you can do while mastering with MidSide EQ. First, let's listen to the track with everything bypassed. So it's a very mid-tempo track, got a kind of a tropical feel, sounds great, the mix sounds good. I do have a master of this done already. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to show you 5 tactics that you can use MidSide EQ while mastering. Once again, be extremely careful while using MidSide EQ while mastering. The first tactic that you can use MidSide EQ while mastering is to add extra width. This is a lot more of a side boost than I would normally do, but I'm doing it for the purpose of the demonstration. I did mention adding stereo width in MidSide EQ while mixing in the last video. I'll leave you a link up above. Let me go ahead and bypass this and play you this in the meat of the track. Before, after. And as you can see, it helps to lift the highs and the sides and just give you more presence. I'd probably do something more along the lines of a 1 or 2 dB boost. Even 2 dB is really pushing it. You know, you don't want to do a lot when you're doing mastering. You want to be very, very transparent. So, you know, +1, something like that, or plus a half a dB is something that I would probably stick to while doing a side enhancement, because you could really throw off the mix, and that's not what mastering is. Okay, the second tactic you can use MidSide EQ while mastering is to use MidSide EQ to do some surgical removal. Maybe there's a sound that's sitting on the side or sitting in the middle that is bothering you or has a little bit of a frequency boost on one of those, either the mid or the side, and you need to fix that. So for example here, I'm just using this as an example, but I took out 880 hertz out of the mid and I notched quite a bit. This is something I wouldn't be doing in mastering normally, but I'm doing this for the demonstration purposes first. So let's go ahead and play this and then bypass and turn this off. And you can hear this resonating frequency right here that I'm cutting out of the mid. It does clean things up a tad, but that's a huge boost, or huge cut. So I would normally not even do anything more than like maybe 3 to 6 dB. Because remember, when you're mastering, you're trying to be transparent. You don't want to alter your client's mixes or your mixes. Unless it's your music and you don't mind, that's up to you. But this is a practice that I typically follow. And so that is another tactic you can use MidSide EQ, is to surgically remove a problem that may exist only in the mid or on the sides. Okay, the third tactic that you can use MidSide EQ is to enhance the master. Once again, I'd be extremely cautious when doing this. These boosts right here are boosted a lot more for the demonstration purposes than I would normally do, ever during mastering. But let's go ahead and play this before. And as you can see, I've got a mid boost here at 152 Hertz and a side boost here, a side high shelf at 3,686 Hertz. So, and what this is doing is just helping some of that low end in the middle kind of get boosted up, and then the sides are obviously boosting the sides. And so what this is doing is it's enhancing this mix a bit. Here's before and after. Now, once again, I wouldn't be doing this much. I would really stick to, you know, a dB and a half. Here's before and after. So that's another trick that you can use MidSide EQ for during mastering. Okay, the fourth tip I have for you while using MidSide EQ while mastering is to enhance an element of the mix. I want to warn you that I don't personally use a lot of MidSide EQ. I would prefer to push back to the mix engineer or push back to the mix to get something fixed. But if you can't, say the session was lost, you can use this tactic. Now, once again, these boosts are a lot higher than I would normally do during mastering. I try to stay transparent. But let's listen to this guitar with this EQ bypassed. It's back there in the mix. It's kind of tucked away. And what if the client was like, I want that higher? So there is something we can do here. One of the things I did was I did a 751 Hertz boost on the sides, as well as a 362 Hertz boost on the mids. These boosts are higher than I'd normally recommend. Let's listen to it with the bypass turned off. And here's before. That's just back there. It's kind of melted into the track. After, it lifts it up a little bit. It lifts it in the mix. Now, once again, you can really hear it when the beat comes in. Let's before and after. It just helps that guitar kind of cut through. Now, this is a bit more than I would probably normally do. I'm going to go ahead and gain this back down under 3 dB, and you can see after. And there you go. So that's the fourth trick I have for you with using MidSide EQ while mastering. Okay, the fifth trick that I have for you while mastering with MidSide EQ. This is something that I will always be doing if I am mastering for vinyl. One of the problems with vinyl is that the needle can bounce if there's too much low frequency content on the sides. So it's important to let your mastering engineer know if you are cutting vinyl so that we can create either a master that will cut good on the vinyl, or we'll give you a separate master that's specifically designed for vinyl, especially if you want a really loud master. That could be another problem for vinyl. So the couple things that vinyl has problems with is high sibilance frequencies. It has stereo width problems if you're using widening tools. And then lastly, one of the most important things to prevent needle bouncing and skipping is having low end removed from the sides. So this is where MidSide EQ comes in during mastering, and this is something that I would do. I have about 130 Hertz cut on the sides, and if I mute that, It's not noticeable, but it's going to create the proper vinyl master that you need for the cutting plant to get you no skipping on your final product. And that's an overview of using MidSide EQ at the mastering stage. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Once again, my name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.